Hello.
Hello.
She's crowding me here.
Nice and sticky warm on the couch.
She's being pushy, pushy, pushy.
No, I'm being sweet, 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 Tommy.
You're still being
Sweet, sweet, sweet.
sweet pushy. All right, I'm turning this on here and see, there we are. We are live. We are
Okay.
live. Okay, what?
I'll go away.
Oh, God. Here we go. I'm going to put this here like this. There.
Hi Nelly. Goedemiddag. Goedenavond.
Goedenavond. Hello. Only Nelly. No, there's two.
More.
There's more. There's three there now. One of
They
them.
have now a flower there
There.
as well.
Hola, Nicholas.
That's probably for Mother's Day.
Maybe.
Flowers.
Wow, isn't that cool? Hola, Nicholas. Say hola.
Hola. Hi there. Hi Wouter.
There's Wouter again. Hi, Wouter.
Yeah.
Hi there.
Hi there. More flowers. Must be for Mother's Day.
Yeah, today is Mother's Day.
Today?
No.
Sunday.
Sunday, right? Yeah, Sunday.
The day of Mother.
Ah, and more flowers from Nelly.
Ah, more flowers from Nelly. Ah, pretty cool. Okay, we're talking about Tripura Rahasya. And just to make sure that everybody knows where we are, here's a few sentences from the Swami Rama introduction about what this is about. And most of you know, but in case somebody else listens to this after it's recorded, they won't know what did we walk into the middle of. We're continuing with this Tripura Rahasya text. But this little bit here is from the introduction. A great yogi does not belong to any caste, creed, sex, or ethnic group because he has already transcended all such superficial limitations. Pretty cool, huh, Ma?
Yes.
The knowledge that enlightens such an aspirant is called Tripura Rahasya.
It's all here. Hi Johnny, welcome.
Hi, Johnny. The text by that name is one of the most significant scriptures in the tradition of Tantra Yoga. Short and sweet. I just like to start this every time with that to get us oriented to what we're doing.
So
The
that
ch-
will put us right there.
The chapter we're going to talk about today is chapter 12, and it's on the immense powers of yoga. And just in case you didn't know, or as a reminder, where is the... Don't mind me, I'm looking for the table of contents. The text itself is a storyline between teacher and student. The teacher's name is Dattatreya. The teacher's name is Dattatreya. The student's name is Parashurama. And the story, in the storyline where Dattatreya is teaching Parashurama, Dattatreya tells a story to Parashurama, and is the story of Hemachyuta and Hemaleka. Hemachyuta is a prince, born of the king and the kingdom and a privileged fellow and all this, and he goes out and walks through the story. He meets this beautiful maiden out in the forest. Her name is Hemaleka, and they hook up or get married or whatever you call it, and so they became a thing. They became a thing. That's what you call it nowadays, right? They became a thing.
Yeah.
And then they settled down and got married, and they made it a proper thing. And so then they're having romance, short version of the story, they're having romance, and Hemaleka was kind of bored with the whole thing. And so Hemachyuta, the prince's husband, says, "Oh, honey, you poor thing, you don't know how to enjoy life. Let me teach you." Now, what's going on is she's just sucking him in, royal, leading him on. And so she tries to learn from him how to enjoy the pleasures of the world. And then finally she turns it around on him, and she starts teaching him. And then in the storyline, he gradually comes to see that, wow, my wife is really an enlightened goddess. And so then she starts teaching him. And that's where the story went. And now it has finished that. And the last chapter was on the nature of the universe. Before that was the teachings of Himaleka, the wife, and the whole city where they lived became enlightened. Before that was various stages of Himachyuta gaining insights along the way. Anyway, this chapter is on the immense powers of yoga. And so here we go. I've been abandoned here. Anil and Achala are with us, and they ran off, and Matri just ran off. So I'm sitting here with a hi, Leela. Hi, y'all.
I'm making myself a cup of tea.
Cup of tea. After listening to the nature of the universe as Dattatreya described it, Parashurama's mind was still filled with doubts. And if we pay attention to this, we notice that what Parashurama is going through sounds familiar. It's like we do and we learn and we make some progress, and then what happens? Our mind still has problems. Still there's more to know. And the questions sort of never end. Yoga, says Leela. Yoga. Leela said yoga. Nicholas says Ola Leela. Parashurama's mind was still filled with doubts. He asked, Lord, I have listened to your ideas about the universe. Whatever you say must be true. Nevertheless, I do not understand why this universe appears to be real. Why have so many wise people decided it does, in fact, exist?
Just that the whole world thinks it doesn't make it true.
Why does this universe seem to be real, though you say it is unreal? Kindly teach me how the universe is unreal by removing my doubts. The great sage then began to explain why the universe is mistaken as real. It sure looks real, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep, there we go.
You feel like real.
Just a fantasy. The real self is ignored because one identifies oneself with the body. Is that what you did?
Yes.
Here we find flesh, blood, and bones on one side, and pure consciousness, Atman, on the other. There is a vast difference between the perishable and the imperishable. It is a deep-rooted habit of human beings to identify the body with consciousness. Consciousness is pure and unblemished. There you go. This universe also appears to be real because of identification. By changing one's deep-rooted habit of identifying the self with the body, this false concept must be removed. The universe will appear to be the way one believes it to be. Oh. The yogis, with their contemplation and meditation, identify themselves with Atman. In this regard, let me relate a wonderful story.
Yay, another story.
Another story. In the country of Banga, there is a holy city named Sundarapura. There was a wise king named Susena. His younger brother, Mahasana, loved him very much. Susena ruled his kingdom righteously and was highly respected. One day he decided to worship Lord Shiva through the Ashvamedha ceremony. His powerful sons and huge army accompanied the ritual horse, whatever that is. The princes defeated all the warriors who tried to capture the horse. Following the horse, they arrived at the bank of the Iravati River. There they passed the hermitage of the sage Tangana. The arrogant soldiers ignored the sage and passed without paying homage to him. Tangana's son became enraged at this slight to his father. He captured the horse and the princess who were guarding the horse. Oh, goody, a story. Yep, here we go. The princes and their army surrounded the horse, but suddenly the young man took the animal and entered into the side of the rock-like mountain, while the princes watched in astonishment. When they saw the young ascetic entering the rock, they attacked it with their weapons and broke the rock. The young yogi emerged from behind the broken rock with a huge army and rapidly conquered the opposing army, captured the princes, and took the army inside the rocky mountain. Boy, it's getting pretty crowded in that mountain, isn't it? The soldiers who escaped reported to the king. Sushena was amazed to hear this story and spoke to his younger brother. Mahasena, go to that hermitage where the sage Tangana resides. These yogis have immense powers. They cannot be defeated even by gods. Be humble, please the yogis, and bring back the horse and my sons. But it should be done immediately so that the time of the ritual does not pass. Do not be egotistical in front of the yogis. A lesson that's pretty hard for many to learn. If they get angry, they can curse you and convert you into ashes with their yogic power. Accomplish your mission respectfully so that our purpose will be fulfilled. Thus commanded by the king, Mahasena left for the ashram. There he saw the sage Tangana sitting in his hermitage, still in meditation. His body was still, like a log of wood, and steady, like a wall. His senses and mind were tranquil. His ego was fully dissolved in the ocean of bliss. Mahasena prostrated in front of him with folded hands and started singing the praise of the sage. For 3 days he prayed to the sage with reverence. The son was pleased with this praise of his father. He approached Mahasena and said, I am pleased with the respect you have given my father. Tell me, how can I help you? I am the son of the sage Tangana. My father is in deep samadhi and will come out after completing 12 years. Only 5 years have passed, so he has to complete another 7 years. Whatever you desire, you will get. Do not think of me as a child. Like my father, I am also a yogi, and nothing is impossible for a yogi. Listening to the young yogi, the wise Mahasena paid homage with folded hands. O young sage, if you really want to help me, I would like to see your father when he comes out of samadhi. This is my earnest desire. If you think that I deserve your blessing, please fulfill this desire." The young yogi replied, "O Prince, by no means will it be possible to fulfill your desire. However, I will do whatever I can for you. Wait for a moment, and I will demonstrate my yogic power. At this moment, my father is established in perfect peace. Who can wake him up from deep samadhi? I will try to find a method that will bring him out of samadhi." He sat down and started to pay attention to the flow of his breath. In moments, he became motionless. With his one-pointed mind, he contacted the sage. At that moment, the sage opened his eyes. Calmly and cheerfully, he said, "Son, do not commit this mistake again. Anger is the enemy of meditation. It is customary for a king to always protect the yogis. Do not disturb the king's rituals. Therefore, be happy and return the horse immediately so that the time of the ceremony does not expire." Thus he persuaded his son to immediately return the horse and the princess so that the ceremony could be performed at the appointed time. Calmed by his father and following his command, the young sage went into the hill of rock, still crowded in there, and returned with the horse and the princess and handed them over to Mahasana. Mahasana sent his kinsman and the horse back to the capital. I think they spelled capital wrong.
My understanding is that the horse ritual goes something like this. They let a horse loose to wander the kingdom, display the vast territory ruled by the king. Anywhere that horse goes unopposed, not capture, is a part of that vast territory. If someone is able to defeat the army and capture the horse, that territory is ceded, and the ritual didn't work out very well for the king.
Seated.
Seated. Says Leela.
Mahasana sent his kinsman and the horse back to the capital. Then he once more paid homage to Tangana and respectfully inquired, "Lord, I cannot understand how my nephews and the horse could live inside a rock. Please explain this to me." Tangana replied, "Prince, listen to my story. Once upon a time, I myself was a king and ruled a country surrounded by the ocean. With the grace of the Supreme Being, I attained knowledge of Tripura, the mother of the universe, whose nature is pure consciousness. After realizing the mystery of Tripura, the objects of the world lost their charm and value for me. Thus, disinterested in worldly activities, I turned over my kingdom to my sons and retired to this forest. My devoted wife accompanied me. For thousands of years I have done my austerities. While serving me, my wife also attained the highest goal of life. Once, under the influence of some samskaras, the mind of my wife, who was ever devoted to me alone, became sexually aroused while she was in meditation. She saw I was in deep meditation but could not control her urge. She had a deep desire and she became pregnant and gave birth to a self-illumined son. And the dude didn't even leave samadhi, Pretty cool. She woke me up and put the son on my lap. Dropping her body, she left for her celestial abode. I saw the child in my lap and realized that my wife had died. I raised the child with great care and love. One day my son learned about my past and the way I had ruled a kingdom. He also wanted to be a king and requested me to help him. I initiated him into the science and philosophy of yoga. Following my instructions, he attained the highest yogic state. I wonder if he sent him to a 200-hour teacher training program, huh? Maybe he became certified.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe. Yoga. No, where was I?
Probably more like a 10,000 hour.
Following my instructions, he attained the highest yogic state. Through his Sankalpa Shakti, the power of determination, he created a universe in this rock where he rules a continent surrounded by an ocean. It was to that world that he took your nephews and the horse he just released. In this way, I have explained the imprisonment in the hill. Having listened to the sage, Mahasana asked further, I have heard this wonderful story from you personally. I want to see that wonderful place. Can you comply with my request? After Mahasana prayed to the sage ordered his son to show him all of his creation. The whole thing, huh? Mm-hmm. Having thus instructed the son, the sage again went to the depths of samadhi. Then the young yogi led Mahasana to the hill and entered it. But the prince could not follow. He called to the young yogi, hey, young yogi. Something like that. It's just a little enrichment there. From inside the hill, the young yogi called back to the prince and then came out and said, you are not a yogi. That is why you are having difficulty entering in the hill.
We would all be standing in front of that hill.
Yeah.
To get in.
Then they locked him up. Crazy man. Man wants to get inside a rock.
Yeah.
Because you do not have yogic powers, this is a difficult task for you. Drop your gross body in this hole. Then you will have access. But the prince could not do so. The prince said, oh, yogi, tell me how to consciously drop my body. I will die if I leave it forcibly. The young sage smilingly said, you do not know yoga science. Close your eyes. The prince gently closed his eyes, and the young yogi entered his body, and pulling the subtle body out, left the physical body in the pit. Then, by using his yogic power, he entered the hill, taking the prince with him. There's a note here, the yogi here demonstrates Parakaya Pravesha Vijnana. This is a rare technique only known by the highly accomplished adepts. Jolted by this separation from his physical body, Mahasana's subtle body lost consciousness. The young sage united the prince's subtle body with a gross body he materialized through his Sankalpa Shakti, and the prince regained consciousness. He realized the young sage was transporting him across a vast abyss. Above, below, and to all sides, he saw infinite, bewildering space. Terrified, he cried, O great sage, forsake me not. If I am lost in this limitless space, I will die. The young sage laughed at his fear and gave him courage. This is the world inside the hill. Look around fearlessly. Having regained his courage, Mahasana saw different planets in the distance, surrounded by darkness. He moved to that region of remote planets, looked down and saw a large moon. He moved to the moon but nearly froze because the moon was so cold. Fortunately, the young sage protected him. Hi, Bee. Hi, Joe, again. He then moved to a planet where he found himself scorched by the rays of the sun. The young sage comforted him with the help of yogic power. All the planets seemed to him like reflections of paradise. Then he landed in the peaks of the Himalayas with the yogi. From there he could see all the sights the sage pointed out. For the yogi gave him powerful eyesight so that he could see continents at great distances. He saw a ring-like mountain named Lokaloka. Or is it Loka? It's what I want to say, but it says Lokaloka. See, it says Lokaloka. That's a long A. Beyond that was a golden land. He also saw oceans, rivers, 7 different continents covered with mountains, bright beings, demons, men, primitive tribes, and semi-humans like yakshas and kannaras. He also saw the young sage himself residing in the form of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, living in Satyaloka, Vaikuntha, and Kailash, respectively. Mahasana also saw that at the same time the young sage had taken another form and was ruling the earth as its emperor. He was amazed by this great yogic power of the young sage. The young sage told him, "O Prince, 12,000 years have passed while we have been visiting this world. Now we will return to the outside world where my father resides." Having said this, he returned to the world where with the prince, he came out of the hill as he had entered. Thus ends chapter 12, which explains a few yogic powers. And if I remember correctly, then he goes through the shock of coming back to his familiar world, and everything has changed in those 12,000 years. And so now he has to go through another shock again, because all the things that he knew were not there anymore. Anyway, exciting as it is, let's pause here and continue with the next one next time. It's a cliffhanger. The story will continue. The saga.
It's a rock hanger.
It's a rock hanger. Yes, thank you, Ma. It's not a cliffhanger. It's a rock hanger. But maybe it's the cliff on the rock.
Yes,
That would make more sense.
That would
the
make more
cliffhanger
sense, yeah.
that's on the edge of the rock.
cool.
Or something like that. And the next one is entitled, "The Young Yogi Imparts the Knowledge of Atman to the Grieving Mahasana." And if I remember correctly, he's grieving because everything has changed. And now he has lost all of his old friends and his house and his kingdom. Everything's
all
gone.
lost.
Everything's gone. What the hell am I going to do now? I think that's what it's about,
Yeah.
isn't it? If I remember story a little bit. Anyway, it's quite a fun story, isn't it? We go through little versions of that, don't we? You live somewhere, you have work, you have friends, you have activities. You go somewhere else for a while, you come back, and it's all changed. And it's just not the same as it was back in the good old days, huh?
Back in the good old days, yeah.
And so what's the problem? We cling. We cling. That's called, what's that big word for that? Oh, I remember, attachment. So
Rock and roll.
rock and roll. So Johnny, leave it to Johnny to come up. Rock and roll. And so the roll, maybe the rock rolls down the cliff. That's a pretty classy idea, isn't it? The rock rolls down the cliff. So it's a cliffhanger, and then the rock's going to roll down the cliff. Or something like that. These are fun stories, aren't they? And isn't it fascinating how you can hear a really sort of outrageous story like that, and yet there's moments in there where you hear a sentence that reminds you of somebody called, what's that person's name? Oh, I remember. Me. Right?
No, I was thinking of me.
But no, but I'm talking about me. Shivoham.
Shivoham.
No, Shivoham.
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 Shivoham. Aham Brahmasmi.
Sarvam Kavidam Brahman.
That I absolutely agree with.
There you go.
Then you play the Rolling Stones. Nicholas is
Then you play
playing
the
along.
Rolling Stones. That's pretty good stuff, the Rolling Stones. What's a good Rolling Stones song? I don't remember one.
Oh.
I remember they're pretty good.
If you maybe
Only one me. Yeah, me. That's what I'm trying to say, Voucher. See, Voucher understands it's all about me.
No, me.
Me.
Shivoham. Nelly says.
Shivoham. Who is Nelly to be saying that Shivoham?
Yeah, it says she's Shivoham. Shivoham.
I think maybe you should tell her. Tell her in Dutch that Shivoham.
Shivoham. It's the same in Dutch.
Oh,
Shivoham, it's Shivoham.
but this is...
Ik ben Shiva.
Ik ben Shiva. That's Dutch?
Oh, I can't get no. Doo-doo-doo.
I can't get no satisfaction. You remember what the next sentence of that song is? I can't get no girly action.
And they were in the 60s.
That song was popular when I was about 16 years old. And boy, did the other boys and I, my age, relate to that. We'd have done anything to find a pretty young girl who would say yes. So all the young boys are walking around singing, I can't get no satisfaction.
Yeah.
That's not a terribly interesting story, I know.
I find the rock a little
but
bit
it's
more interesting.
but it's all part of the game of Tripura.
It is. Nothing is
And so what is Tripura? What's the simple version of Tripura? What happened to our thing?
It's here, Samaji.
It's here. For those who have forgotten, this is Tripura. 1, 2, 3. That's 3. Pura. 3 cities. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and Turiya. This is the one who dwells in 1, 2, 3 cities. There is consciousness here, there is consciousness in dreams, and there is consciousness in deep sleep. Paradoxically, here's an interesting one. I can't tell you how many times somebody wants to know how their yoga nidra practice is going, and they proceed to tell me of their visions and their thoughts that they were having, the intellectual insights that came while they were in yoga nidra. Well, I'm sorry, yoga nidra is formless. In the waking state called Vaisranara, you use thinking and words. In the dreaming state, you use thinking and words, but in deep sleep, we all know this, in deep sleep, the dreams stop. The narrative stops. It's formless awareness. So that's City 1, City 2, City 3, and this is the one who dwells in those three cities. There's consciousness here, and consciousness here. And this is called Tripura. It's the one in the three cities. Uh-oh, here she comes.
Tripuraham. I am Tripura.
That's why you've got that name. It's kind of a spiritual humor. It's called humor of Guru. Let's give her a name that she can go on a trip over.
Yeah.
And say, I'm Tripura.
But then I would not deny if you would say the same about that you are Tripura. I would affirm that.
But then what would I call you?
Tripura.
Like that, what would I do when you promise to make lunch and lunch
Hey, Ma!
Tree!
Ma
Yes.
Tree.
You know.
But they're not
Where's the
nice.
Shakti? Where's the Shakti? Anyway, time to go. So thank you for playing. Bye-bye. Home.
Tat sat.